Episode number 87 of Making the Case. The difference between a partnership and a helpmate. Let's get it. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Making the Case. Episode number 87. We're talking about the difference between a partnership and a helpmate. Okay. But before we get into it, of course, I'm none other than your host, Dr. Jacob Isom, educator, author, speaker, entrepreneur, content creator, consultant, father, a little bit of everything. All right. We got two channel norms. One, we attack points and not people. Then two, we don't do all the cussing and derogatory stuff because we're professional over here. All right. Hey man, we got another great episode for you. I'm pretty sure that you've all heard the rhetoric of partnership. And I've been hearing this, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing this a lot more lately in the YouTube space and just in general, particularly when it comes to women, right? We're going to discuss that a little bit more later. But and I'm pretty sure that you've heard of a helpmate, whatever you want to deem it. It definitely does come from the more religious aspect, particularly if you're a Christian. So we are going to address that in this episode. I know what you're thinking, but Dr. Isom, why do you always talk about religion when you're not religious yourself? Is the reason I think I might have mentioned that before is because that I know that most of my audience probably is, right? And when we just look at in our country and world over, most people are, right? So I definitely like to tap into that aspect, but I also like to bring it for the simple fact that we also got to understand that a lot of concepts and ideology and things of that nature are not their origin is not religious based, right? The genesis of the concept is not religious. For instance, marriage, right? A lot of people think that marriage is tied to religion. Well, no, marriage existed before religion even came about, right? So that's where we get the whole notion of jumping the broom and things of that nature. So, but if you know, you know, and most people don't know, right? And that's why this channel exists, so that I'm putting you up on game. All right. So let me talk about it a little bit further before we jump into our evidence. So I believe it is of my belief that what we should be looking for between man and woman is not a partnership, but you're looking for a woman to understand her role as your helpmate. Okay. Um, and here's the reason why. Because men and women both have roles, right? As much as we tend to get away from that, particularly in our modern culture, particularly when we talk about feminism, that's why you will hear a lot of women say partnership. But what you got to understand, partnership means 50-50, right? And women really don't want 50-50. Men don't want 50-50 or expect it. At least the men that I know, at least real men, right? Like men understand that they're going to take the brunt. I believe that men physically, emotionally, and mentally were born to bear the brunt. Okay? That's why we're physically stronger. That's why we tend to last in relationship longer because we're going to put up with things. Why for decades did you always hear about women complaints about men? Well, because they're more vocal. They're going to tell you when they're not happy. As a matter of fact, they leave relationships when they're not happy. So it makes sense. Men will be quiet, they will shut up, and they'll take it. Why do you think this whole trope about men not going to the doctor? A man will be in pain for a very long time, and a lot of times somebody will have to tell them to go because he'll suffer in silence. Okay, so the whole notion and idea of a partnership, we're talking about equality. We're talking about 50-50. Of course, where did that come from? Whole modern time feminism, right? This is why you see the push away from people talking about being a helpmate. Because in some women's minds, that means being subservient. But that is not what a helpmate means. It means that you're playing your part and you're playing your role because you understand that that man is your protector provider. He needs you just as much as you need him. See, we got to put things into perspective. He's playing a role and you playing a role. Period. All right. So today's episode, we're going to break down what the difference is in a partnership versus being a helpmate. So really, I got two pieces of evidence. If you want to look at it, because we're talking about partnership, helpmate, even though I got several videos.
50-50 spending, 50-50 taking care of all responsibilities, 50-50 taking care of the kids. Why is this 50-50 thing been so prominent, and why does it not work for both men and women?
All right, so as far as why it has risen to prominence is, again, I think it's this fight for equality. We're fighting so hard and we're losing sight of the bigger picture of balance. Balance is what we need for success, not equality in the relationship. And I would argue that equality in the relationship does not actually exist. Because if you were to examine 50-50 relationships, what you will find is over time, it's going to shift to one person doing more than the other. And I would argue 90% of the time, it's the woman doing more than the guy. Because think about this. The mindset of the man who wants to do 50-50 is very different than the man who's so in love with this woman that he wants to provide for her. His willingness to even accept 50-50, he's going to be reluctant to do that. It's kind of like going on a date with a guy and one guy's down to pay Dutch, and the other guy's like, don't take your card out. I got this. They already have a very different mindset. So that guy who's open to 50-50 from the jump, the chances that he's going to change later on and want to take on more is not likely. He's going to get comfortable in that 50-50 or do even less. Also, consider this. Even when we say 50-50 on the bills, 50-50 on the bills, in my opinion, would be 20% of your income, 20% of their income. That's not what a lot of people do. The mortgage is, let's say, $1,500 and we split it $750, but the guy, let's just say, makes $80,000. The woman makes $40,000. Right. That's not equal.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? She's making a much bigger sacrifice than he is. Right. That alone eliminates this idea that it's 50-50.
What about the whole raising the kids thing of like, you gotta,
Exactly. Raising the kids. Now, of course, are there scenarios where sometimes it's the man who ends up doing more? Absolutely. But in most cases, the woman naturally gravitates to being the one who handles the kids more. That's what you're going to find. So again, you're going to start to see it get skewed in certain areas to where you're not maintaining this 50-50. But then if we go deeper into why this doesn't work. So one, it doesn't work because it's not really sustainable in the vast majority of cases. I'm not saying no one's ever pulled it off, but in majority of cases, it doesn't work. Number two, there was a study that shows, I believe it was a study, that said egalitarian relationships are like the most sexless marriages or the most sexless relationships.
Egalitarian meaning like
equal.
50-50
equal, you know what I'm saying?
Sexless.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because basically you're neutralizing the masculine and feminine polarity.
Polarity of it.
Exactly. It's now just neutral.
Flat.
It's flat. It's not, there's no excitement there. There's nothing there. It kind of reminds me of this guy. I don't want to put him on, but I don't know his name, so I guess I could say it. There was this guy on Twitter, I think it was like late last year, and he posted that how his wife just came home from like a 16-hour shift or something crazy like that, and here she is shoveling the snow in the driveway, and how he's so proud of her. Let me get her coffee ready. And the commenters ate him up. Like, they went in. But, in his mind, we're equal. We're 50-50. Look at her doing all these things. But in reality, if a woman has to come home to a man that puts her in that position all the time, doesn't step up, she's going to start to lose attraction. And you're again overburdening the woman. What a man has to understand, and it's actually mentioned in the book, The Way of the Superior Man,
Yes.
where he says, don't make your woman your everything. I think what men underestimate is that women are in their head a lot. They're constantly thinking, constantly processing. So if too much is on her plate, she becomes mentally exhausted, mentally
Stress,
worn down.
overload.
Yes. So when the woman says, I'm too tired for sex, the man thinks, well, you weren't doing nothing all day. Her mind was a million different places all day. By the time she got to this moment, she does not have the energy. When the mind goes, the body goes with it. So when you put too much in front of her, you are taking away her ability to thrive in certain areas. So as the book mentioned, you want to identify as a man, what do I need most from her? What's going to be most important from me? Let's now hone in on those.
Everybody's wrong because first and foremost, relationships and partnerships are two totally different things. Relationships are for broke people. People who look for relationships have a need that needs to be filled, and they don't want to do it on their own, and they don't have the money to pay for it to get done. So they look for other people to do it, and then they build a relationship that ends up draining them both. And then if one party elevates out of that relationship, they tend to move on to something that fits the new person they've become based on the energy they've taken from that relationship. Partnerships are with two whole individuals who actually don't need each other, but they work in tandem with each other.
Preach, girl.
Right?
Go on.
So I'm not an advocate for relationships at all. And one of the things with men, women, I don't think women have really a right to speak on men because most women have no earthly idea about male psychology and male behavior. Everybody's wrong because first and foremost, relationships and partnerships are two totally different things.
A lot of us have been in relationships and many of us have never been in a partnership. I have not yet felt like I've been in a partnership, and I hate that for me.
It's coming. I just got to find my first one.
How does it feel?
I've been in relationship after relationship after relationship, and this is the first time that I feel like I'm in a partnership.
I love
And you
that for
can't
you.
feel the stark difference.
It's totally different.
It really is.
It's totally different.
Your time is coming.
Sometimes it seems like, I just need a new relationship. No.
You need to.
You need to reset the mind so patterns aren't
Patterns being
repeated, and we can actually be in relationships that we desire to be in and not just being in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship. A lot of us have been in relationships.
Everybody, what's up? This is your boy Ryan Rutley. This is the day that the Lord has made. We choose to rejoice and be glad in it. Something real quick for you guys. There is so much junk and so much garbage, so much mess on social media that I want to give you something that's going to be good, something edifying, something encouraging. And it's not even about Ryan. It's about God. It's about edifying you. And I want to give you something that I believe is going to help you today. Thought is this. Partnership versus relationship. You do not have to have a relationship with somebody to have partnership, but you do have to have partnership in order to have a true relationship with someone. And that's not trying to be deep, but the thought to that is so many times we get caught up into the emotional consequences of things rather than the spiritual and discerning what is purposeful in everything you do. And so with that being said, you need to manage and you need to know the difference between partnership and relationship. And of course, the root word for relationship is to relate to. In order to have a relationship with somebody, you have to have some type of way that you relate to them. And so I just want you to be encouraged today and to know the difference. All right? We feel like because we go into partnership with somebody, we got to have a relationship with them. Sometimes we feel like because we're in a relationship with somebody, we have to partner with them. In actuality, you got to know the difference. And I think that's important. So just look at where you are, look at where you're going, look at where you've been, and then decide the difference between them. And I truly believe that you'll know the difference. I believe God will speak to you when you pray and you ask him for direction. He'll lead you and guide you. The Bible says,
All right, so that was my first piece of evidence. A lot to unpack there, right? So let's start off this way. I started with that first video because what I want you to understand is when people say partnership, what they really mean is 50-50. And even if it's not a literal 50-50 split, what they're talking about is at least a man and a woman is splitting bills, a man and a woman are sharing um child care duties, a man and a woman like have equal say. We're talking about this whole equality thing, right? We just got to be honest. Now, I don't know when this whole idea and notion it had to have started recently of there's a difference between a partnership and a relationship. Like, where did that garbage really start? And I'm not calling the people who spoke on the videos garbage. What I'm saying is that we a lot of times we do too much. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, a relationship is a relationship, right? Now we can break it down, talk about girlfriend, boyfriend, or marriage, but when we understand a relationship is someone who is relating to another person that is in a union, some type of union that has some type of bond. That's all that means, right? So when people try to make these distinctions between partnership and relationship, it's a stretch, man. Come on, let's be real. Like, and the whole idea behind partnership is so that both men and women can have equal say. And we just got to be real with it. And the thing about it is that it was never meant for, there's always has been and will be a leader. We understand that there's hierarchy everywhere. Somebody is going to have more say. Somebody is going to have more power, more control. So this whole notion of partnership, and I've been hearing a lot lately when it comes to women screaming this whole partnership, right? Because it fits a lot of what women want, right? Because women don't want to just be in the kitchen cooking and, taking care of the kids and stuff like that. They want to go out and work. They want to travel. They want to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They want to do this. They don't want to always be cooped up with kids. This is the modern woman. This is the reason why she's screaming partnership. Because she want to put some of that stuff on the man. They don't want to be traditional women, fellas. I hate to admit that. I hate to say it. They do not. They are modern women. They on this black girl rock, you go girl movement, right? If anything you could do, I can do type energy, right? Which is the reason why relationships are failing. Must I go through the stats again, right? The proof is in the pudding. How many times are men going to have to tell you that the reason why you see the breakdown and destruction of family is because we're not understanding our roles? You understand your role when you at your job or your career. You listen to somebody there, whether male or female. You understand hierarchy. Well, hierarchy has to exist in relationships as well. Both men and women got to play a role in relationships as well. And it has to be based off duty. Yes, sometimes you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. It just is what it is. But guess what? At your job, it's the same way. How many people wake up day after day and don't want to go to work? And I know it's hard to look at relationships like that, but they do marry each other. How many times are you waking up to next to somebody year after year and be like, "Dang, you again?" I'm sorry. It's very cynical, but let's just be real. But part of it is duty. You chose to marry them. You chose to have kids with them. You chose to say those vows. So if we're going to be about long-term relationships like we say we are, you got to understand that it's really about duty. Love is an aspect of it. Right? All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into our next piece of evidence. We're going to talk about, and what I'm making my case on is the woman should be the helpmate. Okay? That's how your relationship is going to function and is going to thrive. All right? So let's get into my second piece of evidence.
Protector. A woman is an encourager. This is very important. The female at the beginning, Adam had a woman who was his helper. When a man begins to share his dream with you, you need to encourage him. You ever heard a man talk his vision to his wife, and she says, that's impossible. You ain't got no education. You don't have the right contacts. You don't have the right associations. You don't have the right personality. And by the time she's finished with him, his dream is dead. She's supposed to be a helper, supposed to encourage the man, even when it seemed impossible. If anyone's supposed to cheer her on, it's supposed to be her. Most men are afraid to go home. So they stop at the pub. They spend hours with the brothers who encourage them to build their courage up to go home to face the one who destroys them. You wonder why your husband won't come home much? And he comes home after you sleeping? It's safe then. This ain't funny. Some of you wondering, sometimes you wonder why your husband like to be in church all the time? Church is safe. Some men work late because home is too dangerous. No encouragement home. Where you been? Why you late? Why you wear that shirt? I don't like them shoes. Why your hair so bald? What's going on with your life? Why you so stupid? You're just like your daddy. You're just like your brother. By the time the guy is finished, let me get out of here. So Peter says, go on the roof and sleep. You're supposed to make your home such a comfortable place that he can't wait to get home. All the men say amen. Sometimes the most dangerous place for a husband is his house. Because all he hears is negative, discouragement. I tell you, a good woman makes a man find it hard to go to work in the morning. He runs to the door, runs back to her, runs to the door, and say, honey, you just make it so hard. He runs to the car, he drives down the street, he reverses back home, comes back, he goes to the work, says, I'll be right back, y'all, goes back home. That's how you gotta make it hard for any woman to stop him on the way. My wife is a dangerous woman, man. Ladies, you ain't got a chance with this handsome guy. You ain't got a chance. My wife do me so good that when I see you, you don't exist. My home is my haven. I can't wait to get home. She makes the home so safe from all the pressure out there. Encourage her.
What's a woman's primary purpose? And fellas, you need to pay extra close attention to this one. A woman's primary purpose is help.
It's the real deal. Help me.
Wait, I'm sorry. Help who?
Help me.
All right, just one more time for those in the back.
Nigga. Help me.
I've started to realize a lot of men don't understand this concept. The modern man seems to think that your purpose is to help each other. But what usually ends up happening is that a man helps a woman to help herself. But the more traditional and proven doctrine is that a woman helping her man is her helping herself. So fellas, take time to understand this concept and don't settle for less. If she can't help you, she's not worthy of you. Send her back.
Functions of Eve is that God said he wanted to make a helper that was comparable to him. And now that word helper is super important, right? That word helper comes from a word in Hebrew called azar. And the other times where that word azar is being used in scripture, that is actually, it's referring to God often as a helper. And that helping is actually in a deliverance or saving context. Like God is delivering the people, he's helping the people. So this helper isn't helping in just menial tasks. This is help in terms of the life work. One of the
Sis, can I share something with you? When you become married, your primary purpose in that marriage is to ensure that your husband fulfills his assignment on the earth. Why? Because the vision and the mission for your family will come through your husband from God. And God will give everything that is needed for that relationship through that husband. So that means that's not saying that you don't have a purpose to fulfill, but your purpose comes in alignment with the purpose for the family that will be revealed to your husband. And so it's important that we understand that our primary purpose is to ensure that we're doing everything we can to push him to the place that God has assigned him on the earth. Remember that today and carry on.
That was my second piece of evidence. Hopefully you can see the difference between a partnership versus being a helpmate. Now, what baffles me, and I know a lot of those clips were religious based. What baffles me is the fact that there are so many people that claim to be Christian in this country that don't follow that order, right? And specifically, we're talking about women, right? Because we understand a lot of women do follow more so of the feminine modern version, which is the partnership, right? But it clearly tell you in the book that you're supposed to be believing in, right? And the faith that you adhere to in what you say you claim to be God fearing and all this, but you're literally living out of order. Now, from my purview, from my perspective, naturally, the woman is a helpmate because she was designed to help that man in whatever it is he needs to do. Because clearly in the last video I showed you, when it comes to the infrastructure and the building of this civilization, men run this. Okay? That's just facts. Get out your feelings. Don't care nothing about it. Okay? So clearly, when you look at these companies and these things that's happening, who is there being the teacher? Who is there being the assistant, the secretary? The woman. She's being the helpmate. So even when we look at the business aspect, right? The woman is there being the helpmate. She's there running the finances. She's there doing the day-to-day. And it's not mundane tasks, like the one gentleman said, right? It's not. It's important aspect. Without her being there and helping, most of these companies and these business wouldn't be what they are without the woman's help. Let's just be real. See, I'm an objective person, but you got to understand something. Truth is the truth. We just got to keep it 100. So the natural role of a woman is to help men, and that is whatever we need help in, right? But now what you see is too many times people want to go and do their own thing, try to get their own accomplishments. But I showed you in the last episode what women are going into. Women are not growing up wanting to be a construction worker. They're not growing up wanting to be an engineer. So wouldn't you want to help the very person who is going into things that is dangerous, that they lose their life at? One of the big reasons why polygamous relationship came into existence is because men were going to war and getting killed. So they took on the wife of another man. Let's speak facts in reality. Okay? The reason why we're struggling with romantic relationships, marriages like we are, is because people are out of order. Whether you want to look at it socially, religiously, politically, we're not doing it how it used to be done. Yes, capitalism is a part of that. So we have to come back to what works, what makes sense. But we so fascinated is like in our ego state. We so driven by money that both man and woman is like we out of order. And until we understand this, until we can actually live what we say we are, because that's part of the problem too, it's not going to change. We're going to keep getting on these podcasts and these interviews and keep complaining about one another. While at the same time saying we fear God, we look, and all this other crap. But you ain't even living out the book that you say you claim to love. All right, man. Let's end the episode because you know I can keep going. So, but hopefully you understand the difference between partnership and the helpmate. And of course, I'm making my case for a woman is supposed to be a helpmate, man, to that man. That man is supposed to carry the heavy brunt. It never was a partnership. Because if it's a partnership, yeah, hey, it's a dump in the night. I need you to get up, man. What you talking about? It's your turn. That's not how relationships are supposed to work, tit for tat. We have roles for a reason. Now, if I see you overwhelmed with something, yeah, I'm going to step in. If you see me overwhelmed with something, but we have roles, though. Right? A true leader in the company, he'll step in and help out where needed. Because he's the leader. And he loves his people. More importantly, he loved the company that he's created. All right, man. Hey, man, y'all know I appreciate y'all, man. You know, I'm very passionate about what I do, man. So I only look to inspire, motivate, educate, and celebrate, man. So appreciate y'all for rocking with me. We're only gonna get better. And we're only looking to scale and improve, man. So please comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, man. If you're looking for a consultation, whether there's one-on-one group, rcdconsultant.com is the website. Of course, you know, jacobison.com where you can buy my books. And we here, man. All right. So as always, I'm you, you are me. Love always, love eternal. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself. And I think we just made that case, baby. All right. Deuces. One love.